The sixth largest bank in the United States is now accelerating Coinbase's paper Bitcoin attack. Of course, everybody is talking about paper Bitcoin summer with all of these Bitcoin treasury companies coming underneath and all of these ETFs now being custodied by Coinbase. There is a huge centralization problem, but when there's smoke, there is fire. And there's always been rumors with Coinbase having some nefarious activities when it all comes to holding and being a custodian of Bitcoin. But first, let's get into the breaking news now dropped by PNC. Let's hear it from them.
Good morning. PNC announcing that it has entered a strategic partnership with Coinbase. The arrangement will expand access to digital assets for PNC's banking clients and institutional investors, and PNC will provide banking services to Coinbase. Shares of Coinbase down about 3.
Now, that is very interesting because it's going to be providing banking services for their customers, which means not only custodian services, which JP Morgan, the largest bank in the United States, said that they would not do, but they also said something very peculiar in this clip here where the PNC Bank president said something about Bitcoin here as well.
Digital payments through Coinbase on our systems, and we're also using our bank capabilities for fiat, our treasury management services for them.
So now they're talking about, hey, we are helping bank Coinbase, their fiat. It's funny how plugged in PNC's now CEO is with everything, that they're using the term fiat when to describe dollars and cents, which is just very interesting. And maybe a sign that he's more plugged in than we would really think comparatively to some of these other CEOs. But of course, I've been coined the man, the myth, the legend, the face of paper Bitcoin summer here with this great picture here, obviously all tongue in cheek. But in reality, I do think that it is a huge issue because we have some of the largest banks in the world now utilizing Coinbase as a custodian. PNC, total assets under management, $560 billion. It's the sixth largest bank in the U.S. behind JP Morgan, Bank of America, Citi, Wells Fargo, and U.S. Bank. So out of all these major banks, it is absolutely huge. But the biggest issue in all of this is that Coinbase now custodies 2.27 million Bitcoin, which represents about 10 to 11% of the total supply. And it's even reported nearly 12%, placing custodian slightly above external estimates. So the retail exchange houses over 1 million with institutional custody, separating, securing significant volume. And the reporting manager says it's got about 404 billion in digital assets. Now, we know Coinbase has been hacked a few times, and we all know that the potential of this paper Bitcoin attack could be absolutely catastrophic for the Bitcoin space. I mean, we've seen FTX, we've seen Celsius, we've seen BlockFi, we've seen all of these things happen here previously. But the paper Bitcoin attack that could be happening with Coinbase could be the most detrimental thing to the Bitcoin space. I'm not going to say Bitcoin network because Bitcoin is going to win at the end of the day, right? So I say worry about where you're custodying your Bitcoin or custodying your Bitcoin. This is why I always encourage people to go down the rabbit hole and really look into self-custody when it comes to everything, right? I mean, I know a lot of people are not looking to do that. They have more faith with some of their banking system. But when you're looking at a very centralized exchange or centralized custodian here, it grows to essentially have me very worried about the potential attacks here going forward. If Bitcoin was practicing, the ethos, obviously having very decentralized, if there's multiple custodians here where it wouldn't be a problem, then I wouldn't even bring this up as often as I do. But if you look at the facts here, you look at the numbers, right? Coinbase is custodying several prominently increasing adoption treasury assets. BlackRock, the biggest Bitcoin ETF, and MicroStrategy. You guys think Michael Saylor, obviously, he's a great spokesperson for the Bitcoin space, but they haven't disclosed whether or not they're, they haven't disclosed their actual holdings. I mean, of course they disclose it every single day, but I mean, disclosing by, talking about where their wallet is, showing the proof of reserves and everything else. So MSTR utilizing Coinbase, LQR House, KULR Technologies, HUD8, Riot Platforms, all of these places, which are some of the biggest Bitcoin treasury companies in the world. I mean, look at this, right? If we look at all these Bitcoin treasury companies, we have now MicroStrategy, Marathon, and HUD8. 3 of the top 11, and Coinbase itself, I imagine, is doing their own custody. 4 of the top 12, so a third of the top 12 now doing that. And, the top 2 with Marathon and MicroStrategy now in there. So it breeds the question here, it's Riot, not Marathon. Excuse me. Riot's a little bit farther down. They're at 5th instead of 2nd. But still, beside the point, 4 of the big 12 players are absolutely just running into this huge risk. And Coinbase now custodies 81% of the $140 billion in crypto assets held by the US ETFs. Now, 8 of the top 10 public firms rely on Coinbase, which now allows custodies of 81 of this. I mean, that's an astonishing number when you have this huge amount under one specific custodian. Now, why am I bringing this up as a potential risk, right? We've seen Coinbase being hacked. We've seen Coinbase's history of hacks, just even though it's been customer data, there's been rumors of it, right? Coinbase has experienced several security incidents, right? And all of these, coincidentally, Brian Armstrong tries to discredit and says, hey, trust me, bro. But if we go through the facts here, Coinbase experienced one in March and May of 2021, where unauthorized access to at least 6,000 accounts led to financial losses. 6,000, right? A customer lost $96,000 in a SIM swap attack in May 22. Early 23, employees were targeting for phishing. We saw one earlier this year as well, an insider breach, account takeovers. They've seen between 180 million and 400 million in attacks. And so they have data exposure. It's just a lot of risk where, all right, no matter what Coinbase does, all of these different attack vectors, people are going to be coming at them just because of the amount and the single point of failure that Coinbase has relative to everything else, right? I mean, so Coinbase could have the most secure thing in the world, but there's workers there. There's all different kind of things. They all got a price, and we've seen that already. So you got to be very cautious when you're looking at Coinbase and how you're custodying these Bitcoin, because we're also seeing, the ETF inflows see a record high. I mean, we saw 12-day inflow streak get cut to an end today, but, we have seen a generational run for these ETFs where we start to see massive amounts of inflows seemingly on a daily basis. And the amount of ETF inflows are going parabolic. Usually, shortly after we see these ETF inflows go parabolic, like we have been seeing, that's when we see the Bitcoin's price start to take off. So we're on the cusp of Bitcoin taking off, and we're seeing Coinbase now get deeply involved, deeply ingrained into everything that we are seeing here. So you got to be very cautious with how you are custodying your Bitcoin and how you're looking at it going forward because of all of these various factors. I mean, Bitcoin is going to be turning into generational wealth here very soon. I mean, we're sitting at 118,000. We're crab walking a little on the side. We had a little bit of the down day, even though we had some very bullish news from friend of the program, Adam Back. Now, don't listen to me. Let's take it in to a little bit of this clip, and we're going to get into why Adam Back and Cantor Fitzgerald, this partnership, was extremely significant here after this clip.
We think that we'll very quickly slingshot into number 2. That's our mission. We're really trying to create a fortress-like environment for our Bitcoin and really trying to position ourselves as the Berkshire Hathaway of the Bitcoin ecosystem.
So it's interesting. They already said immediately, hey, you know what? We're going to be aiming for number 2. All of these Bitcoin treasury companies realize that, hey, we're not going to be able to catch Michael Saylor and, MSTR, strategy B, whatever you want to call it at this point in time. But we're starting to see the potential of all of this, right? The H100 group has now purchased an additional 117 Bitcoin at a price of 1 SEK. I'm not even quite sure what that is. So their total Bitcoin holdings are now increasing to 628 Bitcoin. And then Cantor Fitzgerald, now this treasury deal with Adam Back. Well, this is very, very interesting because those of you who know, right, Howard Lubnick, who is now the U.S. Treasury Secretary, or the U.S. Secretary of Commerce. Well, where was he before? He was at Cantor Fitzgerald. For those of you guys who don't know, and what does Cantor Fitzgerald's portfolio look like? Well, look at the big dog here. 50% of their entire portfolio is all MSTR. So what does that mean? That means Cantor Fitzgerald, the United States government, all of these guys love the exposure to all of these Bitcoin treasury companies. So I think it's just par for the course here. It makes a ton of sense that we're seeing Cantor now partner with one legend of the space in Adam Back and essentially saying, hey, you know what? They want to buy 50,000 Bitcoin soon, and they want to load up on that and essentially become that number 2 spot with Marathon Digital, because we're seeing this number start to accelerate. I'm showing you guys this literally every single day when I'm going on these live streams. We've got 157 publicly traded Bitcoin company or publicly traded companies with Bitcoin on the balance sheet today, as of July 23rd, 2025. Excuse me. So with that, we're going to see that number continue to rise up. And it's going to be interesting because Bitcoin, as Morlock is saying, is still holding strong. McLovin, what is going on? Be careful driving and listening, my friend. As TF is saying, Knox Bill, what's going on? Let's get this chat blowing up here, fellas, ladies and gentlemen, because we're seeing Bitcoin absolutely take off. And I think as Bitcoin is going to become more dominant, we're going to be looking at more ways in order to hold on to our Bitcoin, right? People are unlocking more financial tools in order to not need to spend their Bitcoin. And that's why I've partnered with my friends over at Salt Lending. You can go to saltlending.com/greencandle. And I've partnered with them for a few reasons. One, they're the oldest and most reliable standing Bitcoin back loan company that there is. They started in 2016. They've got 9 years of experience. They've seen ups and downs. They've seen it all here, folks. So because they've seen it, they know how to avoid any potential downfalls. And if you go to saltlending.com/greencandle, they've got rates starting as low as 8.95% and LTVs up to 70%. They're giving a special offer to the Green Candle listeners. If you guys go to there today and use that link, you'll get 0.5% off of your loan starting today. They said that they might change that, but right now, right this second, that's what they're going to do. So if you guys are looking at this, hey, the rates are at 8.95%. There's a potential you could get that even lower. So these are some of the best rates in the business, and they don't rehypothecate. That's the biggest thing. The other thing is that they just reintroduced is Salt Shield. This is your non-liquidation risk, right? So if you guys are worried about, borrowing against your Bitcoin, you can buy this extra assurance. It's not technically insurance, but it's assurance that you could have stress-free. You don't have to worry about your loan. You're not going to get liquidated. It'll get you time in order to avoid that liquidation risk. So all I say is you guys should go to saltlending.com/green-candle and open up a loan today if you're looking to spend some of that Skrilla Manila. And then if you guys want, get your Lightning wallets ready. Not you, McLovin, you craziness, because you're driving. But go to bitcoinwell.com/green-candle today. You sign up, you can get some Wishing Well tokens, 500 once you sign up, and then 500 when you buy some Bitcoin. And then boom, 600 sats. Wow, that is a biggin. So 600 sats straight to your dome piece. Looky here. You guys need to do that, buy Bitcoin, and slow it up as quickly as possible because these guys are absolutely ripping and roaring. We're seeing so many of these treasury companies start to come on, and it's not slowing down anytime soon. We are seeing these things really start to take off. So with Bitcoin taking off and the 6th largest bank now looking to custody Bitcoin, this is something that we have to be worried about because the amount of Bitcoin that is being custodied is an issue if it's all being custodied by Coinbase, right? So we got to worry about that. So friends, don't let friends live without Bitcoin. I love that, Eduardo. I agree with that 100%. So I think all of you guys need to be looking at how you are custodying your Bitcoin. Make sure that you're doing it very safely and securely. And watch out because, like, literally, Michael Saylor reposting Matador Technologies. Is that, I mean, I've never even heard of Matador Technologies, but it's another Bitcoin treasury company that's literally popping up today. There's more of these companies popping up on a daily basis. And Michael Saylor and Adam Back are seeing the amount of inflows. Like, these guys have been in the game for quite some time. So because they've been in the game for quite some time, and Michael Saylor now offering Stretch, a new perpetual stock option. I mean, I don't even know how this is going to work, but they just keep figuring out new ways to offer more products so they can buy more Bitcoin. I mean, if you look at the MSTR flywheel, it's absolute genius. The way that this guy just keeps utilizing this and keeps finding ways to issue more debt, it's honestly incredible. MSTR issuing debt to buy Bitcoin. Bitcoin increases. The market caps increases. Their weight in indices increases. I mean, if you ask, let's ask Gronk while we're live here on the show, what are the estimates of when MSTR joins the S&P 500 and how will that affect their ability to obtain debt to buy Bitcoin? Let's ask Grok how that goes. We'll sit here and wait for a second live on air as to why or when that will happen, because you guys are seeing this flywheel just work out literally in real life right here, right? They're issuing all of this equity to continue to buy Bitcoin, and they're figuring out new and creative ways to issue that equity. So I think it's very interesting about how we are seeing this take off. And it keeps on trucking along because Coinbase now, Pete Rizzo documenting how the treasury companies keep coming on. There's more and more clarity coming around the market. And look, Tesla's even recording 1.2 billion in their holdings. Right? And so Tesla hasn't sold. Tesla isn't doing anything. They're just simply just keeping it on here, right? Tesla's the number 10 in Bitcoin holdings. So they sold off some, right? But they've seen that price appreciation where now they're reporting more of a positive earnings than they did before. So Eddie's saying none of his friends care to listen about investing. Guess they'll have to learn the hard way. Unfortunately, as TF is saying, some will never learn. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't force him to drink, folks. It's unfortunate. Sometimes we get there, but sometimes not. But look at this. Grok is saying estimates suggest possible inclusion in Q3 2025, potentially in August or September. What are we looking at here, folks? We're on July 23rd. Look, it's my birthday. All I ask for you guys is this is my birthday today. All I ask for you guys is to be smoking that like and hitting that subscribe button on my great 31st birthday here. I'm a little old, but I always appreciate you guys coming in and keeping this chat lively. Inclusion would enhance visibility, liquidity, and creditworthiness, lowering debt costs and easing issuance of convertible notes for Bitcoin purchases. And of course, Michael Saylor keeps finding new ways to do that, right? Michael Saylor continues to keep trucking on, continues to keep finding new ways to issue more and more debt. And all of these guys, these big treasury companies, they're finding new Bitcoin native public vehicles, right? Metaplanet, the blockchain group, the Smarter Web Company, Similar Scientific, Cantor Fitzgerald. The Wall Street firepower, is not slowing down at all. It's continuing to truck along. And in fact, I think it's actually starting to accelerate. So I think that you guys should be really paying close attention to all of this, because with what we're seeing with Baldilocks here, you got to be cautious with how they're approaching all of this. So make sure you guys are smoking that like Cheech and Chong, hitting the subscribe button, telling a friend to tell a friend, and I'll catch you guys all at the next one.